Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here without all the Simons over there. I can call him over. Simon Tequila's inside. Simon, come. It's like, whatever, man. I'm tired. That's actually a good little tip to start off with. So if Simon is overly tired and he doesn't want to come to you or doesn't want to engage, that's a really good time that we make sure that Tequila's not coming around. Puppies often don't know good boundaries. They come up at the wrong time. Remember, front-facing approaches is really confrontational. So if Simon has a bone or he's asleep or whatever the case may be, that's probably not a good time to get them together. Now, in the video above, I talked about when Tequila is tired and she's in a relaxed state of mind, that is a wonderful time together. I would look at every time you can achieve that, try to do it once or twice a day. The more time we get them together where they're calm and balanced, the more likely they're going to continue that sort of interaction. And so take advantage of her lulls of energy. They're going to come and go. They're not going to be as often as you'd like, obviously. But the more that you get into doing those things, then the dog practices kind of being around each other. And like in the video above, we talked about all these good things happening. Well, just hanging out is good practice as well, as long as both dogs are calm. There's no staring or teeth baring and things like that. All right, so we talked about, first of all, Simon is an older dog, and I think he has arthritis. And so right now the Guardians are using CBD oil. I'm not a huge fan of CBD oil. It's really kind of the Wild West. You don't know who it's coming from, what the ingredients are. The testing is all over the board, and it's really inconclusive whether or not it can be beneficial or not. And so I would recommend for him instead getting him on some glucosamine. I personally like to use Cosequin with chondroitin. And you can get that on Amazon. They have double strength, the regular. I think he probably just is regular, but double strength is just stronger. But it's like a vitamin. You just give it to him. Read the instructions, follow that. I think that'll make a big difference in him. Also, make sure his teeth and there are any other physical ailments. If he is not feeling well physically, that can affect his psychology. And that's going to make him a little bit more cranky. So if he's having one of those off days, I'm older, some days I don't feel as good as those others, that's maybe not the best day for somebody to ask to introduce new things or push the boundaries. Other days when you're feeling good, those are good times to take advantage. So we talked about stimulation for both dogs. Stimulation will help both dogs, but I think that getting, especially for Simon, the more, he doesn't really know a lot of commands, and because I think he has some pain with arthritis, he doesn't really get a lot of physical activity. Mental stimulation is very enriching for dogs. It's very draining of energy. It's calming. It's comforting. It actually can increase their confidence. There's a lot of benefits to that. So we went over, I would recommend, he really likes eating at a certain time. And so when he starts barking at you, remember, be proactive. Feed him before that. Get an Omega Paw treat ball and look for like 3 or 4 other puzzles that you can get. I'm hearing something rustling over there. I hope it's not Bigfoot. But get 3 or 4 different puzzles. And so when he has that snack, again, give it to him preemptively before he starts the barking. If you miss it and he starts barking at you, ask him, ask for a sit. When he sits, or stand up and walk, if he wants to respond to the sit or whatever, walk a couple steps away and then turn around and ask him to come, tell him to sit. The more that we kind of get him doing things for us, the more they kind of sees us acting more like a leader and we're distracting him from the other things. There's Tequila. Puppy, puppy, puppy. It's like, whatever, I'm sniffing stuff in the yard. Okay, so let me see. So I'd like the Guardians to try to find about 5 or 6 treat dispensing toys or puzzles. Now, I don't like the puzzles as much as I like the treat dispensing toys, because the puzzle, if it's just they slide the things over, they figure that out really quickly. So stuff where you can kind of pack treats in here and here, different ways like that, those are great things to do because it's a different form of challenging. I have to hold the thing down and chew on it just right, and so on. So look for those. There's also, I'd like you to go just Google DIY dog enrichment, DIY treat dispensing, or treat puzzles or something like that. There's probably a bunch of variants that you can do. So the idea is coming up with a lot of different things that you can do to distract him, preventing him from coming up. Remember, it's better to prevent a dog from starting something than try to correct or punish them. Dogs don't really learn from punishment, and any attention is validated. So he comes up and barks at me, I've kind of waited too long. So you might keep a journal of like the times of the day he's doing those sort of things, so you guys have already identified about 3 o'clock is when he wants that snack. So maybe start feeding him that snack at 2:45, but make sure it's a puzzle, a Kong filled with peanut butter or whatever it is. So it's going to take him a longer time to get all that food out. That's why I like that Omega Paw treat ball. But there's other ones that are equally effective. I would also get a snuffle mat for Tequila, or no, excuse me, for Simon. Right now, Tequila eats out of one, but that will slow down the feeding. It makes feeding it takes more time. It also boosts his confidence because he's earning that food and all that fun stuff. Now, for his food, since he is kind of a little bit, not super duper into his food, I would look and see if you can kind of vary his food up instead of always feeding him the same one. Maybe get a couple of different flavors, give a different flavor for each bag. Also remember floating the food. Remember the temperature is more important than taste. I let it float in about 1/8 of an inch of water for about a half an hour before I feed them. When I go back, all the water is gone. It's been absorbed into the kibble. Then I put about a quarter of a pint. Well, I put a full pint because I've got a dog door, but just put enough water and swirl it around. The temperature, like I said, is important to make it more tasty. It's easier on his teeth. There's a lot of benefits to that. Let me see, what else did we talk about? We talked about, well, fetch is another great way to exercise Tequila. And other activities, it'd be nice if we can actually have them do it at the same time. So in the video above, we talked about maybe Tequila's playing fetch and he's getting click for looks every time she goes and gets the ball or whatever it is. Again, those build up those joint activities together. Let me see. We also talked about the importance of rules and structure. Right now, the dogs don't have any rules. Now, Simon gets up on the couch whenever he wants. Tequila, not so much. And the guardians are a little bit worried about that because they do have some conflicts. Well, I would make it for Tequila. She wants a couch, she has to sit first. We call that a premac, where the dog, a less desirable behavior earns you a more desirable behavior. So if the dog, she comes up and she's like pawing at you or nudging or sitting in front of you and you're on the couch, you're probably saying, I would like to get on the couch. Tell her to sit. As soon as she sits, then invite her up. So she's sitting to ask for permission to come up. Let me see. Other examples of rules would be not allowing the dogs near you in the kitchen when you're preparing food, because especially two dogs together, that can quickly become a conflict. When Simon's eating, you guys already figured this out, Tequila shouldn't be around. But when Tequila's eating, Simon shouldn't be around, or at least close enough where he can infringe. If Simon, and I just remember this, if Simon is blocking access for her, if he's sitting at the door in the doorway, preventing her from going in or out, you see that she's not going through, call him away, get him to leave. Don't punish him. It's not something we want to correct. It's something we want to stop. That is dominance. Dominance is controlling a resource. In this case, I'm controlling access to the house or access to my guardians. So if you notice that Simon's sitting between you and Tequila, he might try and be sending signals, back off, he's mine for now. So then I would maybe call Simon away, give him a bully stick or something like that, so he feels good and comfortable. And then Tequila, we've vacated the area so Tequila can come and go as she pleases. We also talked about, let me see. Yes, I know. Giving her, or petting with a purpose, a passive training, I guess. Petting with a purpose is basically for what it sounds like. It's petting your dog for a reason. So if Simon comes up and barks at you, tell him to sit. Preferably if you see him coming to you, he's going to bark, tell him to sit before he starts barking. But if he's nudging you for attention, pawing at you for attention, you pet him, anything your dog is doing when you pet him is what you're rewarding. So that reinforces it. So next time Tequila comes up and she kind of nudges you with her nose or whatever it is, tell her to sit. And if she sits the first time you say it, within 2 seconds of you saying it, reach over, pet her under her chin. Pet her as much or as little as you want. If you don't give her any interaction, play hard to get. She'll be more motivated to listen to you the next time. And I would do this with both dogs. Use the watch word paycheck if you forget to pay. If you forget, you come in and you see that I'm petting the dog, it's standing, somebody says paycheck to me, I stop petting, even if I did it right. I tell the dog to sit. If it sits, hey Tequila, then I would pet and then say, and then I would tell the person, actually I asked her to sit and you missed it. Yes, you're gonna come up? All right. You're still not tall enough. There we go, just a little bit of the head. And so the idea is we're helping the dog learn that almost think of saying please as a way of saying please or thank you. And so if you say, please, can I get on the couch, and you sit down in front of me? Yeah, I'm going to let you on the couch, or I'm going to pet you, or I'm going to do whatever the thing may be. That's something else we talked about. I like the dog, learning demand is what we call it for dogs, which means that they can earn things by doing things for us. So when you're going inside, I would have tell Tequila to sit. When she sits, give her that treat or pet. Take a couple steps, walk to your front of your door, to the screen porch. Tell her to sit again. When she sits, pet her a little bit, give her a treat, or either or. Then go right inside, tell her to sit again. When you get to the next door, tell her to sit. Remember, don't reach for the handle yet. Just tell her to sit, and if she sits, then I reach for the handle. So the more that you teach the dog to sit to be left out of the kennel. She just sat at the door to ask to go inside. And right now the guardians are not seeing that. I would like to go let them know, but I'm filming this. So if you see that she's sitting to ask for something, try to give her that engagement. Try to give it to her whenever possible, because you're rewarding her for doing something she wants. That didn't work, so now she's sat up and she's whimpering a little bit. So I can see one of the guardians in the dining room, so I will see if I can get his attention. All right, well, so right now she's practicing whining at the door. And so if we let her continue to whine at the door, then that's what she's going to continue doing. Come here, Tequila. That was me. Open the door. She was just sitting to ask to go inside and you were ignoring her. So then she started whining and she's practicing doing that. So I threw something. So if you see her at the door, make sure you try to open the door right away because that's a very polite way of asking. All right, back to our video. No, that was all me. I didn't want her to practice whining, but that's what she'll do is she'll start whining as a way of saying, or then she'll jump on the door. So we want to teach her proper things that we want her to do to get it the way that she wants. So when you're doing the same thing, when you're feeding her, tell her to sit. Don't start reaching for the bag of food or start scooping it in. Tell her to sit. When she sits, then start scooping. She gets up, tell her to sit again. When she does, then continue. And tell her to sit before you put the food down. Tell her to sit before you let her exit the kennel. Tell her to sit before you open the car door. The more that you, and again, it's not just sit for everything. There could be other things as well. But the more that you do that, the more that she's going to do those things to ask for attention. Also remember to practice that celebrate, and I just did it with Simon here. He walked up. I didn't say the word. So remember, for celebrate, what we want to do is we really want to anticipate the dog's about to do something and then say it before. And now, I'm looking at this, I'm remembering something Laura said. So Laura goes like this is where we're going to say sit. So if you know you can predict the dog sit, so you have a treat and you say sit, or and you can say sit and the dog's going to sit. So you have your treat and you say sit. So this is the motion. So you want to say the word sit at the same time, and then if the dog sits, then you give it a treat. And then walk a couple steps away and do it again if you want to. And eventually you don't say sit, you say, and then the dog sits, and then they get the treat. That's how you transition to the gesture as opposed to the verbal cue. That's a good thing to do. So try to make sure your gestures are kind of bigger, bolder movements. Don't go like this to mean lay down. It's got to be a bolder movement than that. All right, so celebrate is rewarding the dog when it does the things we want. That was a good example. She went and sat at the door as a way of saying, let me inside, but nobody heard her, so she went to a different way of interacting. So if you see her at the door, she sits, try to go pet her. And Simon just sat down. Her guardian has some food, but he sat down. She immediately gave her that treat. Remember, you have 2 seconds to pet or reward your dog for them to make that connection. So make sure you're Johnny on the spot and try to be cognizant of this. This is why we say celebrate in puppy class. So remember, if you see the dog go sit next to your partner and your partner didn't see it, say celebrate, and the partner should stop what they're doing and just start immediately petting the dog. Don't say anything, you already missed your 2-second window, but it'll help you get in the habit of the ideal situation. I'm sitting here watching TV, and then Tequila walks up to me when she's 1 step away, I would say, come, and start petting her. So I didn't ask her to come. She was doing that anyways. That is the easiest way to train your dog. All it requires from you is a little bit of attention. But the more you pet your dog for the things you want, the more they will offer those particular behaviors. Now, one of the guardians has a job at home when she's on a lot of phone calls, and the dog has learned if I bark while she's on the phone, I get attention. So you could do this for a lot of different activities. What I would do, I'm going to do it with an action. Well, I can't do it with a phone because I'm using my phone right now to film, but let's say that this is my phone. So a lot of dogs, you put their phone like this and then they start barking because when you're doing this, you're on the phone and you're distracted, you're not giving them attention. So let's make that a precedent. So what I would do is that when the dog is not in a wind-up mood and it's not in a barky mood, I would just pick up my phone, hello, give the dog a treat. And I do that for maybe one word. How's it going? Treat. Or just like one sentence. After a while, how's it going? Are you going to watch the game this weekend? Treat. So the idea is to start elongating that. So the guardian, when she puts on this headset and she's sitting at her computer, that I know that if I bark now, I'm going to get a lot of attention. So we're training the dog to misbehave to get the attention we want. So I would go in there at times and just tell the dog, pick up your headset, put it on, and then give the dog a treat, and then take it off. And then next time I would get in there and then like surf on the internet, and then give the dog a treat. And so you're practicing pantomime. If you have to press a power button or you're clicking on the keyboard or whatever it is, you want to try to make it as realistic, but at first it's very short. So she puts on the headphones, I get a treat. She says, how you doing? Gives another treat. Oh, yeah, well, I've been having a great day too. And now 2 sentences, I get a treat. 3 sentences, I get a treat. 4 sentences, and so on. So eventually we get to the point where just when the headphones come on, if I'm quiet and I wait, I'm going to get a treat at the end of the conclusion. So at first we're giving it a lot, but eventually it's just one at the end. But you have to work there very progressively. Now for the kennel, Tequila's not a big fan of the kennel. I talked about this a little bit above, but once a day, I would like each member of the house to go and practice the kennel games with Tequila. Grab some treats, remember be on the side of the kennel, and stick your finger through so she can see it, but she has to go into the kennel to get it. And then right before she exits the kennel, drop another one in. And then right before she exits again, drop another one in. After you keep on doing this, after a while, she'll just stay in there, and then you drop another treat. And now once you start staying in there, then we start elongating the distance or duration between treats. At first, it's like treat, dog gets up and walks away, treat, dog gets up and walks away. After a while, treat, treat. So we're going to gradually start elongating it to the point where the dog stays in the kennel and feels comfortable. Now remember, she should find new treats, new toys in the kennel. You can drill a hole through the bottom of a bully stick and zip it to the bottom of the kennel and get in there. Now when each member of the family is practicing this, I want you to play the kennel games or whatever it is. Then I want you to sit literally on the floor. You'll probably be sitting on the floor when you're doing the kennel games. And if you can give her a bully stick and she's chewing it, I'd like you to sit on the floor and read a couple news articles on your iPad, check some emails, play a video game, whatever it is. But the idea is we want the dog to practice being in the kennel calmly while we're right there and the door's not closed. So the more you do that, after a while, she'll like going to the kennel. It's a good place for her to go. Speaking of coverage, the Guardians mentioned that they did a play date here and it became overwhelming out here. And so Tequila there's a little bench over here and she went and kind of laid underneath it. If a dog's trying to seek out shelter, that's a good, and there's something else, probably a good way of saying, I'm not really into that dog. So when you do a play date, if the dogs are too, if I'm going to bring another dog over, I'm going to let the other dog sniff around here independent of my dog being out there and let that dog get its bearings. Then I would bring the dogs out. Now, if they're not getting along, don't force them. If they're sniffing on opposite sides of the yard, that's okay. That's good practice of being around another dog without freaking out as well. So don't disregard that. If they're just kind of sniffing around and they're not playing, that's still, remember, sniffs burn a lot of energy. The other thing is, if you see her moving away from the other dog or doesn't want to engage, maybe the playtime get too intense, or maybe it's just not a good match. So if she's always avoiding the other dog, then there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't think they're hitting off as well as we like. Let's just keep this short, make sure it's successful, and best of luck. You don't want either dog to have a negative experience. We want those to be nothing but positive experiences. Make sure you continue to socialize Tequila until she's at least a year old. When you watch this, if you haven't done it already, make sure you borrow the booklet from Puppy Class from Dominique, and it's a little booklet that you can read on spaying and neutering and all the benefits of doing it early, waiting a little bit. A lot of people like to do it before the dog goes in the first season. Most people I know with female dogs like to do it after the dog goes into its first season. But there are benefits to doing it earlier or later. It's really a personal decision, so it's based on you. But I like you guys to have all the information so you make the decision based on the knowledge of what's right and wrong, and then you make the decisions based on your personal situation. Let me think, what else? I think that's probably about it. There's probably a lot of other stuff that we mentioned. For Simon, make sure that when you go prepare his food, eat a couple bites of something first and then give him permission to eat. Dogs eat in order of their rank, so if you're having him eat, he's watching you eat first, that make him more inclined to want to eat. All right, well, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Please message me, let me know. If I don't hear from you, I assume that everything's going great. Tequila! One last little thing. This is Tequila. Dogs, typically, a book that I'm reading, the woman studied working with animals all over the world, and so she studied people in different languages, and what she found is that when people want to engage a dog, whether it's a dog or a horse or whatever the animal is, like horse jockeys, we'll say, whatever it is, they'll repeat it 3 or 4 times, usually in kind of a higher pitched voice. Puppy, puppy, puppy! And that got her very excited. Now, you'll channel a little bit of excitement when you do that, but it's usually going to get the dog's attention. So if the dog's not listening to you, try to say it in a higher pitch and try to repeat the command word 3 or 4 times in a very high-pitched, kind of sweet, inviting tone. Also be careful, low, slow tones can be difficult for dogs. So make sure it's kind of a happy, boisterous tone. The last little thing is come up with funny command words. I love that you're using Cabo for eating, but remember each command word needs its own unique action. But keep on doing those. And last thing, I swear, I promise. Simon, teaching him new tricks and commands can be really beneficial. What I would do is I would take the lessons you're getting in puppy class, come home and teach Simon those same lessons. So when he starts barking and demand barking, you have a whole bunch of things you can do. Remember, that's going to boost his self-esteem, gives you more opportunities to redirect his attention, and you can distract him by having him do these things. But the boost of self-esteem and confidence that comes with that is really helpful. Also, you as the human who is teaching him are associated with that. That kind of makes you a little bit more like his mentor. He loves you already, but the dog can love you without necessarily respecting you. If you're associated with the dog getting a boost of self-esteem and confidence, that really elevates your position of authority. And that can really help. Tequila, you want to come up? I'm doing something, I'm inviting a dog to jump up, which I normally don't do, but I want a little tequila in this shot. All right, well, this is my buddy Tequila. Yes. And Simon's in the house, so we're going to sign off for him. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.